morning. Thank you all for coming to this session. I know there's other sessions to be seen, but we appreciate you coming to the school session. I'm Debbie Dodson, and I work for the Carton Council. The Carton Council is an organization that is comprised of all the carton manufacturers in the U.S. The only job of the Carton Council is to make sure that all your milk, juice, coconut water cartons, chicken broth, all of those cartons get recycled. I specifically work on school carton recycling. If you have any questions at all, we have great free resources for you to either increase your program or add cartons to your program. You can see me after this session. We have 3 great speakers today. Each of them have received, each of their programs have received awards from CRRA for outstanding programs. So that's kind of why we have the title, Getting an A. We have lots of time for questions, by the way, so what I think I'll do is we'll have each speaker go and then have a few questions after that person and then move on to the next person. Our first speaker is Jenna Roypa. I always worry if I pronounce it correctly.
You did good.
Thank you. Jenna is the environmental specialist for the city of Oceanside. She works with the schools program, and Oceanside USD was the first school district in the nation to formally adopt the goal of zero waste in 2014. So, Jenna, please share with us what you know.
You'll have to excuse me while I hobble. Trying to get my recovery before the school starts again. I had knee surgery a few weeks ago, so just trying to get back on my feet, so to speak. Thank you for being here. I know there is, like Debbie said, there are other sessions, and we feel, I know most of us hopefully in this room feel that the schools is a very important place to start our journey towards zero waste. These are the people who are going to make change, and I'm going to go through sort of how we got on this journey with the school district, and then show where we are now and what our future is moving forward. So I'm like the least techie person in the world, as my coworkers will tell you. So this is sort of the timeline of how things progressed. In 2010, the city of Oceanside passed a zero waste resolution. That was for staff to work on the zero waste plan that was then adopted in 2012. So at the same time, independently, I was working on a program at my kids' elementary school, and it was the pilot, that is sort of the pilot that became this program. So I contacted now my boss, who was Colleen Foster at the city of Oceanside, and I just wanted to get some bins. So I bugged her and got her attention. And when she finally heard what we were doing, she was like, that's great. Let's talk further. So it ended up being written into our zero waste plan as a way to reach our community, is by really reaching out to our students. We have 23 schools, and that is 3 high schools, 4 middle schools, and then 16 elementary schools, and it's all one district in Oceanside. So that was really a way to reach all of our students. And so we moved on from there. I ended up working for Colleen after a little bit of time, and we started working on the schools, a little bit here and a little bit there. Now, at this point, we were just working with schools that were coming to us. People wanted this program. They'd heard of what had gone on at the pilot. They really wanted to have this program for their students. So it was sort of a bottom up. At this point, it was bottom up. And then we started, part of it, as I'll go into, part of this is really gathering some data on what we were doing. And so then after we approached the district and showed them really how much money they could save on this, and we'll go over that later, then they started to pay attention. They really started to pay attention. So in 2014, after about 4 schools, and we showed them the cost savings, and we showed them that really their students, their teachers, their staff, their community really wanted this as a program, we were able to get them to pass the zero waste resolution in 2014, and that really solidified the partnership between our 2 entities. And I know that kind of is a piece that's missing. A lot of people are really interested in, because how do you work with your school district? So I'm just going to go over what we've done, and I don't think maybe not everyone's community is going to be as open to this with their school district, but I think that it's a good way. For us, it worked really well. So these are the legislation that we all know that we need to pay attention to. And another way for us to get compliance, we have 23 schools is a lot of waste. So getting compliance for AB 341 and AB 1826, it's a great place to start with that partnership. So what is our initiative? So what is our program? It's a systematic approach that takes a one semester. We go school by school. That, like I said, 23 schools, and we educate the entire school community. So first we go in and we do a waste audit. We want to check and see how much waste that particular school is generating. This is done with staff. It's not done with students. So we go in and get that data. Then we educate the staff because they need to be on board, as everyone knows. And then we go in and we do classroom presentations for all of the students. So once everyone is educated, then we begin to roll out the program. So we put it into the infrastructure based on the amount of waste that they're generating. And then we do a checkup a little bit later and see how they're doing. We do another waste audit. At the same time, looking at the structure of the school, seeing what existing programs they may already have that is going to fit really well with it. Do they have a garden? Are they composting? What's their science classes doing? Looking at what their structure is already and then going in. So then we take the data on how they're doing after that. So initial success. Debbie, could you hand me that water?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much. So this is an important point. What is the initial success? So the initial success, we're taking some schools from 6% recycling, almost 0% recycling because you've got one little group doing a little bit, to literally a 70, 80, sometimes 65% recycling rate in that semester. You've got everybody on board. They're excited. You put the infrastructure out. The kids are the most excited, as we know. And then $7,500 per average school. That's something for them to pay attention to. Some are a lot more, especially high schools. And then that's from back-end service. So this is how we get that. This is the biggest plus for this district as they see it at this point. So we're taking, you go in, you have 4 trash bins that are being serviced 5 times a week, and maybe 1 recycling bin that's being serviced 1 time a week. When you change their system and teach everyone what to put in the right can, and bingo, it happens very quickly. So at this point, we just did an analysis from the 11 schools that we've implemented this program with. The district is now at an $85,000 annual savings. So that's nothing to sneeze at. It definitely gets their attention. So this allows us to then work with maintenance. This got us in the door with the custodial and maintenance. That was probably our hardest nut to crack. I mean, that's really difficult to get into their guidelines, tell them how they have to be servicing. But this makes them pay attention at the top level, and then we end up changing their job description. And it never really had to deal with union issues. It was very from the inside out. So, I mean, we got custodians on board. I had one custodian tell me, look straight at me and said, "When can I retire?" And he became one of our biggest champions because he really saw how it made his job easier, how it was good for the kids, and how it was good for his community. So we little by little got these custodians on board, and you have a couple people that aren't going to get on board, but that's just the way it is. So once we get everything, this is another benefit. I want to just go over all the benefits for that OUSD sees. It says cost savings, number 1. That's the biggest one. Then you start opening the gateway to environmental education, and that is a big plus for especially public schools these days because there's so many other options with private schools and charter schools, and people want their kids to have this type of literacy and worked into their curriculum. So I think that, and this real hands-on learning. And so Oceanside Unified really does value that. They have a program that is a green career pathway that just started recently, and this type of program fits right in. So we have, it's called the Oceanside Promise, and they basically want all of their students to be career and college ready by the time that they leave OUSD. So definitely college ready, and this also gets people ready for all of the emerging technologies that they've heard throughout this conference. So fits right in there. Then again, you've got your local and state mandates that we talked about, AB 341 and AB 1826, big generators of waste, big generators of organic waste, unfortunately. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this is a good place to start. And unlike 939, they were not under the mandate of 939. Schools were not under the mandate of 939. They are now under the mandate of AB 341 and AB 1826. And this is why we want to do it. This is why we're able to put these types of resources towards our school and really work on this partnership. 23,000 students and staff in a city of 175,000 equals 100,000 people. They take what they learn at school. They learn what they should put in the blue can. Why is it important to keep organics out of the landfill? And then take it home. And we have people coming, why should we source reduce? Why don't we use a plastic baggie? We're a community that's right on the ocean, and we really connect that message of the ocean pollution with this program as well. So it really permeates throughout this messaging and changing this culture over time. So as we were writing this into the Zero Waste Plan, this allowed, because that is our guiding document, this allowed us to put funding towards this. So this is how it sort of progressed, and it's gotten to be a significant budget line item, and that's a great thing. And this is also what gets to the school district right here. And that is because we have a zero waste plan, and that's our guiding document. So from $20,000, from zero, from a few bins when it first started, to now we have an $80,000 budget for this. And we sometimes need to use that fact that we're putting that toward the school district when we need to talk about nutrition services and what they need to do, and custodial services is what they need to do. So it's like I said, it's not just a recycling program. It's a culture change that is ongoing. We're continually trying to permeate those zero waste messages throughout this program anywhere we see that we can. One thing we were able to do early on, which was great because of a very progressive nutritionist that was there at the time, and because we showed them during our data that styrofoam was 10% of their waste stream. So not only were they paying for it, but they were actually paying a lot to dispose of it as well. So we were able to eliminate 15,000 trays a day, which was a really big win. And the spork packets. I mean, the custodians loved when we got rid of the spork packets, because the little the straws that they were throwing away and the little plastic wrappers were not all over the place. Our newest victory is we're getting rid of the ketchup packets. We're going to all condiment bars, which I'm super excited about. And then in this program, we do make sure that there's one staff member at each of the locations, each school site, that is someone that can oversee what's going on. They're not necessarily, we try not to make it too large of a job. There are students involved. It's usually an environmental club that's already maybe there, or a teacher that's very interested in working this into their classroom. But they're part of the wellness committee. So we have a zero waste focus group that is part of our wellness committee for the district, and we were able to get that so that we can communicate out anything that needs to be any training that needs to happen, any announcements that need to happen. And that's a work in progress. We've only had that for 2 years. We went from having meetings to now we're doing conference calls, and we're hoping that that's going to be a little bit easier. But it is an important thing to have someone at our school sites that is at least overseeing, at least can communicate the information back to their staff. And then we got into staff guidelines. We made sure that all the custodians know what to do, because as you know, staff moves. Everybody moves around. We've got even one semester, you've got a custodian over here, and then they move to another school. So within the district, a lot of movement. So making sure that we have these guidelines set up, at least we're able to, and teachers as well, we're able to say, okay, place your trash can next to your recycling bin and put them by the door. It's very simple, but just to make that simple fact allows it to be a little bit more managed. And this is really, our approach to this program is institutionalizing, as you can probably see here. It is not something that we want to rely on parents that's great if they're there. But some of our most successful schools, because in Oceanside we do have a very diverse population, so we do have affluent areas, and then we have schools that are on 95% free and reduced lunch, and those are sometimes our most successful schools. There's no parent participation. The staff embraces it because they see how they can work it into their classroom, and it's a benefit to their students, which may not get a benefit otherwise. So they're doing great. And yeah, not sure what I was going to say about that, but I'll come back to it, I'm sure. I tend to go around. I'm sorry. I love this program. It is my heart, and so I have too much to say about it, as Sarah Davis was looking at me like, get back on track, Jenna. Okay, so, and then making the school district take ownership of this, $85,000 in savings. We've got streamlining custodial duty. We've got all these benefits. We've got environmental education. Making them take ownership. Make sure you have somebody. Making sure that we're able to connect with the superintendent on a regular basis. We work with the directors on the regular basis. We get the board members involved. This is a feel-good program for City Council and for OUSD board. Nobody has any opposition to it. So once you get that kind of drive behind, so now we've got the top down, you've got the bottom up, we've got the top down, and we're kind of operating in the middle just as people to oversee the program. So I said initial success, right? So that was great. We're good. We leave the school. We're all excited. We've got a wellness committee set up. This is wonderful. Everyone loves it. We went back this last spring semester, to reevaluate the program because of the implementation of AB 1826. We really wanted to see how much food waste they had. We saw some schools that had declined a bit. We're looking at some 30% recycling rates. We've got 4 trash cans back in the classroom. We've got things all over. You're thinking, what happened here? What happened here? And that's that movement of different staff. So some of these lessons learned and some of these guidelines that we're talking about are based on that. One of the most alarming things that we did see, which is not going to be any big surprise, is that we saw a lot of plate waste. 1 ton per day is being generated by 20,000 students. And a lot of those people, again, no surprise, a lot of those kids are on free and reduced lunch. So that is I feel like for our group that's interested in K through 12, this is our next frontier, is really working with the USDA and our nutrition services, and I'm really excited to hear how that is being addressed. So we're looking at some different ways of managing that. We're looking at a pilot program with our operator of AgriService. We have a compost facility in Oceanside. We're very lucky to have that in Southern California. It's very rare. She's permitted for food waste, and she's interested in doing some pilots. So we're looking at doing some kind of pilot with her. We're also looking at food donation for some of those we do share table infrastructure we're looking at, working with them. And then we're looking at doing a couple of pilots with some newer technologies at a couple of the high schools, because that fits right into their green career pathway. So I think these types of collaborations are going to help the community on a whole. So what were some of our lessons learned about working with the school district over this period of time? Well, you got to understand how school districts operate. They're different entities altogether. You can't go in and tell them what to do. Right? You got to go in and you got to figure out, even the school sites, you got to go in, you got to figure out what they're doing, and then see how this can work in. I mean, there's a little bit of push that you can, a little bit, like we call them guidelines. There's a little bit of things we can do. But you really need to see how they're operating first. Everyone is part of the initiative. I can't say that enough. Staff is the worst. The staff, the teachers' lounge is always horrible. And you're like, you guys are the leaders. So, getting that staff on board, getting that buy-in from the principal and from the school board is just so important. The superintendent is amazing, and he has given us lots of quotes over time to actually reach the staff. Not that all teachers pay attention to their superintendent, but it's a start. So really getting the staff on board is so important. Simpler is better. We had a time there where there was people trying to do everything. If they had a green team, they wanted K through 8 to be on their green team. They've got 300 kids to manage. I mean, we're now looking at really not operating without any green teams. If you want to promote the program, do some posters. Let's, do some stuff to promote the program, get everyone involved, but really not trying to make it simple so that people don't hear, oh, it's so much work, and just making it an easy transition when we're going in and implementing this program, and having those realistic expectations. Yeah, you get to 70 at first, but let's just get to 50. 50% would be great. And by the way, if your school site gets to 50% recycling rate, then you're not going to have to be mandated under AB 1826. I mean, let's get the school district down to a place where they're not generating as much, get the recycling in the recycling bin so that then we don't have as much waste, more waste being diverted, and they're not going to be a lower threshold for AB 1826. And communication, really communication and that internalization of the program into their system, into their school, just supporting wherever you can, I think is also a very big lesson. So we continue. We won't have all schools implemented with this program until 2020. We're doing our second high school, which is great. One thing I think I remember what I was going to say. This is a systematic approach to implementation. So we have the elementary schools that go into the feeder school that are the feeder schools for the middle school. And then we go into the high school after that for those middle schools, and then they feed into the high school. So we have one whole system from where the pilot was to the middle schools, now to the high school. We did our first high school last year, and our consultant over here helped us with that, Patty Diaz from H2O Trash Patrol. She was amazing. Part of what she did, I'm going to show you this video. Can you get it cued? Oh yeah, I'm terrible. And I think that's my glass. Yeah, this is the video. So this is part of that connection we were talking about. Let me go back to the high school, sorry. So because of that, a lot of the kids that were at the high school, we were a little scared. We didn't know what was going to happen because, they're high school kids. But because they had the program, you just never know. But I think we were very pleasantly surprised that even though they didn't go, yay, I'm going to recycle, they did the right thing. They put the right stuff in the right bin. And it was that simple because they had been doing it since grade school, some of them. So that's why we do this systematic approach of the implementation. And we work with the school district to make sure that we can do that. Okay, sorry, Sarah. Now I'll be quiet and we can watch this video. This was a program we did to get these kids connected to their community. And we showed this during the educational presentations. And hopefully it'll work. If not, I'll just... Can you turn it up?
I'm Colleen Foster. I'm with the City of Oceanside Zero Waste Program. I'm here with Oceanside High School and a group of fantastic student leaders leading Oceanside High School on the way to zero waste. We're at the San Luis Rey River, right at the entrance to the harbor. We're in our community picking up trash, and we're trying to work with the students of Oceanside High School to help them understand the impact that they have on their local oceans, their local beach, and their local waterway. So what you're doing on campus does have an impact. And the leaders today, they're helping all of us understand that impact by paddleboarding along these waters today and picking up trash and materials and finding ways to stop waste in the first place.
This is your experience to show you what happens to your trash when you don't dispose of it properly. And you guys are going to be the ones that are the examples for your school.
I don't think that's really healthy for like the environment. So maybe if people start contributing to like helping out, cleaning up the place, then maybe it'll get like a better place.
We take control of our future by empowering what we leave behind on our planet.
In the last couple of years, we've pulled out over 23,000 pounds of trash out of our waterways.
I had a good look at what happens when people aren't careful of their waste. There's a lot of trash behind me, and it's all around the rivers. I don't know how this happened.
People should have more awareness of what to do with their waste and not unknowingly just dumping it out on the street.
In 2014, the Oceanside Unified School District became the first in the nation to adopt zero waste as a goal. So they have the same goals as the city. They have a 75 to 90% diversion rate or recycling rate by 2020.
All this stuff is from careless people who don't understand the cause and effect of what happens when you throw stuff either on the street or just not where they're supposed to go, and it ends up in the San Luis Rey River, our ocean, which pollutes everything.
People need to think what they do, and before throwing something out, think about our nature, not about themselves. So the main idea is not to do it, but to prevent it.
We've seen a lot of stuff that we know doesn't really belong here, and I think it's a really big issue because it's not hard to throw away your trash. We have so many trash cans and so many recycling bins and stuff where you can put your stuff.
We need to take care of this earth because either that or we're gonna have nothing to live on. And just encourage people to take care of what we live on.
They take what they learn at school, they bring it home to their families and to their neighborhoods, and they really become stewards or ambassadors, as we like to say, for zero waste throughout the community. So this program really helps not only us educate the youth of our community to become good environmental stewards and take responsibility for their waste, but it also helps the community on a whole. So that's it. So we're working on a series of these types of videos it was a good experience. We're working on a series of these types of videos to be able to show in the classroom. So again, just trying to work that into every aspect of their school. So there's my information. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Let's give Jenna a hand. Her contact info is on the slide. And by the way, the extended bios for all of the speakers up here today are on the CRA conference website. You can pull up all that info. I've been really lucky because I know all three of these folks for a couple of years. Jennifer, do you want to set yours up to go? I've known them all for a couple of years, and I know I turn to them as resources all the time. Just so you all know, there is a K-12 technical council through CRA. It is free to join that council. We try to have conference calls. I think we're trying to have like 6 monthly, 6 calls this year on various topics. Jenna was one of our speakers on a webinar this past year. Nancy from Oakland Unified School District was also a speaker. It's a great resource. If you are not already a member of the Technical Council, see me afterwards. Just give me your email address. We'll add you to that. Our next speaker is Jennifer McNeil from Encinitas Union School District. In my job, I'm really lucky because I get to work with recycling coordinators and professionals from local governments, like Jenna, members of nonprofits like Ray, and then also school nutritional professionals like Jennifer. And I can tell you that the school nutrition profession is just as concerned about plate waste as we all are. They don't want to see students throwing away food. They want to serve students food that they'll eat. And I think that the presentation you're going to see from Jennifer is really going to enlighten you as to what that industry is capable of. Now, a lot of what you're going to see from these three great speakers is, big picture items, and I don't want you to think that you can't do them all at once. Because just pick one item, just pick any idea from any of them and start with that and build from that. So Jennifer is the Director of Child Nutrition Services for Encinitas Union School District. Encinitas Union School District is a California and U.S. Green Ribbon School District. They were one of the 9 schools in the U.S. School districts in the U.S. to receive that award when they did. They have a lot of awesome programs. I'm going to let Jennifer talk about them. Thanks.
Hi, how are you guys doing? Good. Okay, just a second here. Let's see. All right. Well, thank you for the nice introduction, Debbie. It's great to be here. I always like coming to Sacramento. I live in San Diego, but I am originally from this area. I grew up in Elk Grove, and so it's nice to be home for 24 hours. It's a busy time of year, so school's about to start, and we got a lot going on. But I am super lucky to be the nutrition director at Encinitas Union School District. It's a K-6 elementary school district in San Diego on the coast. Really small, 9 schools, elementary only, like I said, just in this little pocket of Encinitas and South Carlsbad. By a show of hands, how many of you have been to that area of North County, San Diego? Okay, great. So a few of you are familiar with Oceanside probably as well. So this school district has a lot of really amazing programs. I'll tell you about a few of them here today. And a lot of this has been really driven by the parents in our community, especially our green initiatives and our school farm. So I'm going to share with you some general things about our school district, and then also what we've done in nutrition services. I'm a registered dietitian, and I've been working in school nutrition for about 6 years now. I started in a very low-income school district in Riverside County, Hemet Unified School District, and so I got to see that perspective in a district about the size of Oceanside. And then I came to Encinitas a couple of years ago, and I had heard about all the great programs they had, but when I walked into nutrition services, I had no idea what I was walking into. The person who had been in my position previously had been there a really long time, and there was a lot of room for improvement. So I'm proud to show some of the stuff that we've done to kind of bring our nutrition program up to par with the rest of the awesome programs that this district has. So this is our nutrition program, Green Garden Cafe. So we've branded that as a way to kind of connect to the students and show how our program works with our school farm and gardens. And then we also have our Farm Lab logo on the bottom. So how many of you have heard about the Farm Lab at Encinitas? Oh, cool. Okay, so this is a really cool program that I'll tell you a little bit more about. But basically, we have a 10-acre, what was supposed to be a school site when the land was developed in this area. But with the changes in the housing situation in California, they no longer needed to build a school. So we had to develop it into a school. So technically it's a school, but really what it is kind of like an annex. Like think of a community college that has an annex campus. That's basically what this is. And it's a farm annex where kids go to learn about produce, and the 10 acres grows produce for our school program. So this is just some photos of Encinitas. Here is our board and our green. So this is just let's see. Okay, so this is Mim Mikolov and Camille Sawinski. Camille, this one, she is our green consultant. She's amazing. If you haven't met her before, if you have any questions about green programs in K through 12 schools, she's an amazing resource and just a super nice person. Mim Mikolov is our director of Farm Lab. Both of these women started as parents in our district and were two of the pioneers to really push for recycling and helping us build our scrap carts, which you'll see in a moment. Just a little more to get a feel for the culture in this district. So you can see our lovely little student here doing yoga, and these guys over here. So we have a yoga program in Encinitas. Has anyone heard about that program? You may have heard about the lawsuits. There's been several of them, but every single one has been defended, and the district has won the lawsuit. So anyway, basically this is another part of our really well-rounded wellness program in the district where students do yoga twice a week. So Encinitas does a great job of integrating. We have the basics like reading and math, but we also integrate garden-based science, yoga through mindfulness kind of education, although they don't use the word mindfulness because people don't like that word. And then going into the cafeteria, doing composting. We have green teams. So they have this really holistic view. The motto of the district is educating the whole child. And so they do a really great job of that. And even down to the things like the classroom. So we're lucky to be in a district that has, there we go, that has the funds to put in solar tubes in the classrooms. So we passed a proposition a few years ago to remodel a lot of our school sites. So they don't use lights in the classroom. Those are actually just solar tubes. So they have lights, they can turn them on, but that helps save a lot of money and energy. And then the kids get to choose if they want an exercise ball to sit on or a chair. And they're starting to implement different modular type of furniture so the kids can move and have the whole floor, or they can have desks, or they can have groups and tables and stuff. So really, compared to other districts I've been to, this district feels like Google. It's okay, they're thinking a lot of things and they're being really creative. So this is our scrap cart. So this is one thing that you guys, this audience, would be really interested in knowing more about. So this is one of the really the programs that people come to our district to see. It's really simple. It's just a trash sorting a cart that our maintenance department built, and this was under the leadership of our green consultant, and they designed it, and they do all of these trainings, and you can see Sandra, who's probably my favorite custodian. She's awesome. She just had a baby. And they sort all the trash. And so they have worm composting. We have regular composting. We have landfill trash, of course, and carton recycling. So you can see the cartons are sorted there. We've also just recently added a share basket. So those of you who work in nutrition services, how many of you here are from a school district nutrition services department? Okay, awesome. So you know about the share baskets. So we just added those back. The school district hadn't had those in a while, and that's one way to mitigate. This in this photo, you see there's a full milk carton there that's unopened. So now those go into a share basket where kids can reuse those. And actually, there was recently a change in the at least in San Diego. You'd have to check with your local health department, but in San Diego, they're allowing us to take those unopened milk cartons, and as long as they're kept at the proper temperature, we can reserve them in the cafeteria. That traditionally has been not allowed because of Cal Code, because you can't resell something you sold. Does that make sense? You can't just bring it back into the establishment and resell it. But San Diego put out a memo. You can contact San Diego Health Department to ask more about that and see if your health department is having that same giving the school districts that same leverage. It's only for school districts, and it's only for things that are already completely packaged, like a packet of yogurt or a packet of granola. But those prepackaged things, traditionally, we could never bring them back into the kitchen, and it made no sense. And so now that's something that we've added to this program. So they sort the trash. We try to mitigate as much of the trash, things that aren't really trash that can be reserved. And we even have, in the share baskets, we allow them to put things that come from home. Sometimes our kids are throwing away a Kind bar or, a juice box from Trader Joe's. We can't bring that into the kitchen, but we sort that and we put it in the office, and they have little snack areas for the kids. So just really trying to mitigate the trash, because the trash in the lunch areas of the schools, not just from nutrition services, but from the kids who pack their lunches from home. We see kids who have these beautiful lunches that their parents pack for them, and they just throw the whole sandwich away. And, so we also have monitors here that kind of talk to the kids and say, okay, well, if you're not going to eat your super nice roast beef sandwich that's probably organic, why don't you tell your mom, because she's spending a lot of money on that, and you're just going in the trash. So that's one really kind of shiny program that we love in Encinitas. Here's another picture of it. So you can see the composting. We have fruit and veggies only, citrus, because that has to be separated. The worms don't really like the citrus. The kids will tell you all about the worms, too. They stack their trays, so that's easier for recycling. And then you can see down here, this is the liquids and milk. So the milk cartons need to be emptied out, and the kids don't usually drink all the milk. So that has to be emptied out, and then the cartons can be recycled. This program is, similar to your did you guys see it? Okay, yeah. We've had a lot of visitors. It's really cool, yeah. And so this program is definitely the type, like you said, it has to be monitored. So our green consultant is an ongoing position in our district. It's a contractor, but that person does trainings every year. They do an assembly every year. So it's this is not the type of thing that you just implement and walk away from, because it's like entropy. Everything goes towards, disaster. We have to keep honing it in and trying to keep things on the right track. But overall, the kids love it, and, they're bound to kind of put stuff in the wrong bins, but our custodians do a great job of, trying to monitor it when all the kids get there. And yeah, let's see. Here's the composting program. So composting The scrap carts are normally kind of monitored more by custodians, but a lot of the other programs are really student-led programs. So we have our composting, that every school has a school garden, another result of a really active parent community, and then a district that really supports it. Just this week, the school that I work at, or where my office is, one of the Boy Scout troops was rebuilding all the garden beds. So we have like a community that's really involved in this, but it's also supported by the district. And the composting program is really cool because the kids get to learn about, they have actual science lessons that they do in the garden with the composting. If you're ever in San Diego, or those of you who live in San Diego, if you want to see one of our school gardens on Sundays, there's a farmer's market at Paul Ecke School in Leucadia, and it was voted by Edible San Diego as the best school garden in San Diego this past year. It's a really beautiful example of one of these gardens, and you can see all of their composting, and it's all open, like, because there's a farmer's market, so you can go look at that just if you're in town, and it's a great farmer's market. And like I said, the kids really love the worms. If you go talk to the kids about the worms, they'll tell you all about it. So beyond these programs, we also have, I wanted to mention, a stormwater prevention program. Has anyone heard about stormwater prevention programs, or do you have those in your local water districts? Okay, cool. So that's a great program. The kids love that. It's very much student-run. And they do these campaigns. At one of our schools a couple of years ago, they painted all of the storm drains with a stencil, and they voted on, like, the kids had this whole campaign to vote on, what would you put on there? Because normally it just says, no dumping drains to ocean, something like that. So do you guys want to know what they came up with? They came up with poison me, poison the sea, with a skull and crossbones. And so I saw it and I was like, what is that? And I asked the principal, she was like, that was the kids, that's what they wanted. They were super all about it, so that's what they say at one of these schools. And the kids, at the school where our central kitchen is, where I work, my kitchen lead was washing off some of our carts after at the end of the day one day, and the kids ran up to him and they were like, "You're not washing those in the right area. They need to go over there. That's the storm drain. If you wash them here, it's gonna flow down there." And so these student-led programs are awesome because the kids really take ownership of them. This is a little a peek into our gardens and farms. So this right here is the farm lab when it was just first starting, and I'll show you some of the stuff we've grown there. Actually, these are some tomatoes and peppers grown at Farm Lab. We've had several thousand pounds of produce grown there over the past 2 years. This summer, we've roasted enough tomatoes to produce all of our own pizza sauce and marinara sauce for the first 7 months of school. Yeah, my freezer is full of roasted tomatoes, but it's awesome. We make all of our pizza from scratch, and so we do our pizza sauce, and of course kids love pizza, but it's a scratch-made whole grain item with our own EUSD-grown tomatoes for the tomato sauce. So also a great way to market our program and help the kids have a more nutritious product. It's not like a canned pizza sauce or processed pizza sauce. It's something coming from the garden. And they're all heirloom varieties. The tomatoes are black and green and purple, and they're from Tomato Mania, this special program for buying tomato plants that we hosted. This is one of our other school farms. So we have 2 school farms. So Farm Lab is the big farm. This is Ocean Knoll Farm. This was our first school farm. It was just a 1 acre empty lot, basically. It was kind of like the district used it to dump stuff. But it was adjacent to one of our schools, and so the parent community kind of rallied together and they started this farm there, and it's been a really great program and helped kind of pave the way for the 10-acre site. And then this is the garden I was telling you about at Paul Ecke, where the farmer's market is. And again, it's just a really beautiful garden. The kids just built, I wish I had a photo of it. I don't. But if you look on our follow that school on Facebook. They have photos of their pizza oven. The kids just made a pizza oven. So at that school, they actually have funding for a garden science teacher who's full-time. And so they have, every kid gets to cook in the garden. Has anyone seen the kids menu? Have you heard of the kids menu? It's on Netflix. It's a new documentary. Have you heard of the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead? Yes. Okay, so Joe Cross just made a new documentary, and at the very end of the movie, Encinitas is featured. So you can see some more of the programs, and they have a peek into that garden that I was saying at Paul Ecke School. But
it's called Kids Menu?
The Kids Menu, yeah. It's a really cool movie. It's actually very uplifting. And so they talk about some of the garden science that they do with the kids. So the school district has done a good job of integrating garden-based education in its various forms, be that actually planting, composting, harvesting, and cooking the food. That's all tied into Common Core. So that's one way to really get buy-in from teachers, is to make these lessons integrated into the educational system. And then this is the garden at one of the other schools. This is Henry Canby. He's a dad in our community, and he's actually a hydroponic farmer, and so he helped build this greenhouse at the school where they have lettuce, and so we serve this lettuce. So the gap, or bridging the gap between nutrition services and the schools. So the schools are growing this produce, and the nutrition services department, we receive the produce, wash it, and serve it on our salad bars. So this past school year, from January until June, we produced all of our own lettuce, and we didn't buy lettuce for any of our salad bars, which was really awesome. And took a lot of coordination and flexibility. Like for me as the nutrition director, there was mornings where I was going and picking up lettuce at the school on my way to work. I mean, that's kind of a pain, but it's worth it. And so it's the type of program that does take a lot of flexibility and thinking about, how to overcome little bumps, because these types of programs don't work perfectly. They take a lot of flexibility, but they're also really rewarding. I have so many pictures of produce in here. I want to show you a little bit more about our program, but these are the melons that we grew last year at the Farm Lab. And I wanted to talk just a moment about one of the ways, so this all ties into waste, because basically we have some guiding principles. So the first one is having our kids involved in these programs and starting it in the classroom, right? So we talked about that with having garden-based science and teaching the kids about the recycling. That's integrated into lessons as well. But we also want to serve food that kids like to eat. That helps mitigate waste, right? If you are serving food in the cafeteria that the kids don't like, that doesn't taste good, that's not good quality, it's going to go in the trash. And there are students that are going to buy it and throw it in the trash. Especially our students who are on free and reduced lunch, who are coming to the cafeteria anyway. If it's not good quality, they're not going to eat it. So having some of these programs where we've been growing our own food has really helped to increase consumption. So these melons that were grown at our farm were heirloom varieties of melons, and the kids just gobbled them up. Even things like zucchini. When they grew zucchini at the farm, I had no idea what I was going to do with this. We have salad bars. We don't do cooked vegetables. But have you ever grown zucchini? Do you know how much zucchini you get from a zucchini plant? You get a lot, okay? So we just shredded it, blanched it, and froze it. And then throughout the year, we incorporated it into pasta dishes. And it actually added a really nice flavor. The kids didn't really know it was there. And it's just a nice way to add a little bit of nutritional value to the food and utilize some of the produce that's grown on our land. Herbs are super easy to grow in school gardens. That's something that every school garden could grow. And those we just dry in racks and put them into our food as well. This is a picture of one of our pizzas that we make in the central kitchen, and then some of the tomatoes grown. So kids love cherry tomatoes, although we found on the farm that those are really labor intensive to harvest. So bigger tomatoes might be easier for you. So here, let's get into a little bit more about the department specifically. So this is just some quick numbers on our nutrition services department. I will tell you that one of the biggest challenges with mitigating that food waste, because that's a huge issue for us, one of the big issues is that we just have satellite kitchens at our school sites. So our schools, most of our schools were built before there was a school lunch program at the school. They didn't, I think, start having school lunches until the 90s in Encinitas, really, really late compared to other school districts. So they didn't build kitchens at our schools. So that means we have to hot transport all of our food to the schools every day, which means that we don't know how many kids are going to eat. We have to put in orders ahead of time. Any food that's left over at the end of the day has to be thrown away. So that's why it's even more important for us to be having like this good quality food that kids are going to want to eat, and trying to mitigate waste in other ways, because that's one huge barrier that as much as we have been investing in other programs, the district has not invested in redoing the kitchens at the school sites to have like ovens and the capability to cook food there. But that does give us opportunity, because we have a centralized facility, that gives us a lot of opportunity to make food from scratch, because we're making it in one location and then sending it out. So if you're making that can be a great way to incorporate more recipes that are from scratch. That's our team. And let me see, I'm gonna go here. So when I first started, we had a lot of packaged food. So those of you who have been in a school, you probably, if you care anything about recycling, which I'm sure you do because you're here today, you probably cringe when you see stuff like this, right? This is like the epitome of school waste is packaged foods, right? And in a lot of cases, this is necessary because of health code. So that's why schools are doing this a lot of times, is health code or facility issues. So in my case, when I started, it was both. They were doing packaged food because they didn't have the facilities or the equipment to have unpackaged food, and they also had health department issues that they were saying that like food needed to be packaged. So I was fortunately able to work with the health department to mitigate and to have a plan so that we could have more open food. So we went from salad bars that looked like this. Another key, so things to train your eye for when you're out of school, looking at, for ways to mitigate waste. What happens with a whole orange? It gets dumped, right? It gets thrown in the garbage can. 9 times out of 10, an elementary kid especially is not going to peel an orange. Especially, and apples too. Like, elementary kids a lot of times don't have their front teeth. It's really hard for them to eat a whole apple, right? A second grader eating a whole apple when they're missing their 2 front teeth, not going to happen. And then we have just all the packaging issues like this stuff going on. So we were able to transition our salad bars to look like this. And having a nice presentation, first of all, will help increase your participation, which is what school nutrition people always want to hear, increasing their sales. But it also helps give the kids more options, so they can just take a couple of carrots instead of a whole package of carrots. This is also a really easy way. If you've talked to your school nutrition folks, you know about the half-cup rule for fruits and vegetables. So that's the USDA rule where every single student has to take a half cup of fruit or vegetable. That is one of the reasons we have so much waste, is that 1 ton number at Oceanside. A lot of that is because of this rule that USDA passed a couple of years ago, that every kid in the nation has to take a half cup of fruit or vegetable. As a dietitian, I think that's great. That's definitely going to help the health of our nation as a whole. As someone who cares about waste, I think it's the worst rule ever, because a lot of that produce is going in the trash. We also were able to move from individually packaged. Every single item in our program was individually packaged like this. And I love this picture because you see all the kids bringing their home-packed lunches back here. Does this look appetizing to you? This didn't look appetizing to the kids either, okay? So we were able to switch to a system where all of our food went out in bulk bins. So with hot transport, where you're having to take food from a centralized facility to a satellite facility, there's a lot of challenges, but one thing you can do to help with that is, if it's possible, and you have to talk to your school nutrition program to see how possible that is, but sending things out in bulk as much as possible helps with food safety, helps with food quality, and mitigates waste. It's really a win-win-win. And that's how I was able to get that passed through our health department, because when I had food packaged like that, that stuff was losing temperature. That's a much higher risk than having open food outside. So this also, think about the interaction that our students are getting through the lunch line here. With this system, they're just picking up an item and walking through to the cash register. Here, they get to have a nice smile from Miss Hannah. And their friends get to help serve the food, which is really fun. We have student helpers at all of our school. And it's just like a nice, much more of a community atmosphere for the kids when they're coming through that lunch line, and a pleasant experience. I wanted to just make sure we talked about these. Okay, so then a couple of the other things that have helped us mitigate our waste and helped us just have like a really nicely well-rounded program is tapping into other networks. So we have our own locally grown produce at our own farms, but we also participate in the San Diego Farm to School Network, which helps provide us with resources like the Harvest of the Month program. Connecting with programs like Meatless Monday and California Thursdays. How many here have heard about California Thursdays? I know you guys have in Oakland. You guys were like the pioneers of California Thursdays. And this is a beautiful program. If you haven't heard much about it, just Google California Thursdays. Lots of information about how to increase the quality of the food. When the food tastes better, when it's made from scratch, when it's utilizing local ingredients, we're gonna decrease waste. When the food comes from our local communities and from our state, we're gonna decrease our carbon footprint. You all know that here, but it's about getting all of our other people who work in school districts around the state to understand how important that really is. So all California Thursdays is a program to help support schools in having at least one day a week where their majority of their items are sourced here in California. Most schools are already sourcing milk, bread, and produce in the state. So this is like really encouraging them to tap into the proteins like chicken and fish and other proteins that they can do locally, and other grains like serving California rice. Okay, perfect. So there's so much more I could tell you about our program. I will kind of close by just talking about some of the things that I think obviously this program has a lot of great aspects, but there's a lot of room for improvement as well. So I think one of the huge challenges that all schools, and specifically from the school nutrition side, are facing is trying to work with USDA on some of these portion sizes. So the USDA meal pattern for school meals requires a certain amount of food to be served to kids, but in a lot of cases, it's packaged or presented to the kids in a really large size, and also with the rule to take a half cup of fruit or vegetable, it's producing an enormous amount of waste. So that is just one thing to have on your radar, to understand why schools are serving what they're serving. A lot of times it's because of what's required from USDA, but also areas where we can kind of help through policy work to maybe work with USDA. I don't know that they would eliminate that rule, but having more flexibility in it. Having it be, I think something that would make more sense would be to have, every kid has to take some fruit or veg, right? Just something, like 1 carrot would be fine. Having the kids pile on these fruit or veg is it's just so much. And with so much hunger in our country as well, it just doesn't make sense. Looking at some sort of systematic approach to allow schools to pre-order, having families and students getting into a system of pre-ordering their lunches, because every school that you go to at the end of this lunch day, they have a lot of leftovers, and that's because we are not allowed to really run out of an item. But we don't really have a good system in school nutrition to pre-order items. And then I think the other thing would be just any work that we can do on improving school food service facilities facilities. There's been a lot of reports from USDA, their own reports saying that school food service facilities are not equipped to prepare meals. Like you heard from me about my satellite kitchens, at end of the day, everything has to be tossed because I don't have the ability to heat anything up or to cook on site, and I have to transport everything. There needs to be more funding to help improve school food service facilities. So I will close, and I will, I think on the next slide, I have my contact information, and then I also have Mim, who's our director of the Farm Lab, if you'd like to learn any more about our EUSD Farm Lab. All right, thank you so much.
I really want to thank Jennifer for coming up just for this day to speak. I think it's really important that we're all recycling professionals, but to get the flip side of what's happening in the school and how those decisions are made and why those decisions are made. Do take down Mim's info. Oops, it's gone right now. We're getting up Ray's info. But Jennifer is about to leave the country. So if you don't get her within the next month, then follow up with Mim because she's a wealth of information. I'm going to quickly get to Ray, and then we'll do questions at the end. I'm sorry. We have just great speakers today. Ray Scott's one of the busiest guys I know. He wears multiple hats, so he's not actually wearing a hat right now. But he is the president and executive director of Keep California Beautiful, and he is also with the administrator for Price Disposal, a hauling company and recycler in Bakersfield. He is going to talk about, now that you've got a school doing an awesome job, how do you move that into an award-winning school? And Keep California Beautiful has a great program for that. Thanks, Ray.
Thank you. Good morning. They've said it all as far as programs within schools, having that key person in a school that makes a school this happen. But I get the privilege, if you want to say, Keep California gets the privilege of really recognizing schools. And that's what the K through 12 Challenge does. It recognizes the efforts that all of you put out to make schools happen. One of the most dramatic schools I've seen was when the city of Wasco, a Wasco Union School District, one gentleman brought that school, one maintenance person, to 75% diversion, which was incredible. And the only reason he couldn't go higher than that, because at the time that he was there, they didn't have food waste, didn't have an ability. The hauler at that time wasn't able to do that for him. But everything else, he got to 75%. Then City of Bakersfield School District bought him out and brought him over to City of Bakersfield School District because he had that passion and information to get the school systems to the point where they're out of any possible not working. Okay. On the right click. And the three I always call the 3 E's is, for any type of program, is to educate, to engage, and then to encourage. And that's what the K through 12 Challenge does. It educates as far as getting the messaging out about the 75% goal for the state of California. It engages students because for this 1 month in March, we're looking at your location. We're looking at how much you can divert, recycle, and then, of course, we recognize everybody. And then we also have $18,000 that we give out to a total of 54 schools. And we do this in March, so this way we can announce this during Earth Week at our state capitol. And so once again, giving that recognition to the schools, to the teachers, to the students, and they're right. The most successful programs that I've seen have been student-led, student-engaged, where the students are actually the monitors. The students are doing the recycling, along with, of course, the custodial staff. But the most impressive turnouts I've seen, results I've seen, have been student-engaged programs. Of course, when I talk to administrators, And also being a hauler, we have over 200 schools that we service in Metro Kern County. First thing that they want to hear is that, one, it's going to save them money because normally recycling has a lesser service fee and has no gate fee. And so automatically we're trying to save the schools money. That's what this whole program is to do, is to make a school look at their refuse costs and see the automatic savings because you're recycling, not sending it to the landfill. And once again, to recognize each school for their efforts. Senator Jean Fuller, she's the House Majority Senator. She is also a prior superintendent of the City of Bakersfield School District. So once she heard, and I approached her what we're doing, she was totally engaged, tried to get us to the right people to make this work with Cal Recycle, make this work with the help of the Department of Education. So when Superintendent Tom Turkelson heard this, he embraced it, sent it out to all of his serve lists. So this way, once again, presenting that opportunity to the schools. And the program is very, very simple, because everything, when myself and Christine Flowers, who's here today, who is the program director for California Product Stewardship, and before that, she was our executive director, where me and Christine worked on this program to make it simple for schools. And so in the last 2 years, we've really simplified the registration part of it, the actual application, to where you tell me when you go onto the website and put in your data, all you're putting in there is how many bins, how many carts of what material you're having serviced each week. And so all the metrics are already built in there as far as the weight. So there is no weight conversions. You're just, whichever the staff member is telling me what you're being serviced for at that location. And of course, also the part of this is here with schools, now you're being able to tell your state, your city, your county, with these results, you're showing that, yes, you have a recycling program, you're in compliance with AB 341 and AB 1826 if you're doing the organics portion of it. We have 9 items. And just like what Jenna and Jennifer said, just take one item, and the schools can start with that and then develop into either, a fully commingled stream of recycling to where you're getting all the campus. And of course, the most favorite item is CRV value, because they get the immediate reward of cash in hand. And at the same time, they have the weight tickets showing how much they've actually recycled. One of the great things that we came up with this program is that we do it on a per capita basis. We award on a per capita basis and award on total weight. So this way it's very fair and consistent with the small schools compared to the large school districts. And so here are the 9 items or 9 categories that we collect results for on a per capita basis and a weight basis. Like I said, we get to recognize 54 schools and award $18,000 during Earth Week. The only, if you want to say accountability as far as with the schools, is sending us, and it's all done on the web, either a copy of your service invoice, agreement, or your weight tickets. One school had challenged our weights as far as the metrics within the program. We said, that's great. If you believe and you have a certified weight ticket for, let's say, just white paper, mixed paper, great. Send me that weight ticket, and that validates you. And so we keep it, once again, as simple as possible, because, once again, if some school districts Okay, they're billed by their hauler for the entire district, not per school. Well, great. As long as I see the agreement for the school district, that's your accountability for the program. This last year, from 2015 to 2016, 335% increase in participation. And then one of the great things was our per capita in weight did not fall, even with a 335% increase in recycling, in participation. This is, once again, a different style of workstation. With us today is Cynthia. Cynthia, her group with Republic, her franchise, services LA Union School District. Is it 1,000 schools? 1,500. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed. And so this is the workstation that they have for their children in their schools to help separate out. And honestly, Cynthia and her team just rocked. They took 17 of the awards this year for the K through 12 challenge. Kern County came a little bit behind them with 11 of the awards. But they have a great team that work with their schools, encourage their schools, and they come up with great results each year. And of course, here's Miss Debbie. And so this was a display that we had at the state capitol for our press conference during Earth Week. One of the things, like I said, I'm also a hauler. And so as a hauler, we made a business decision to, once again, support education, support schools. So we as a hauler put recycling containers in each classroom in Kern County, Metro Kern County. Because it's, once again, here we're trying to give the schools the tools to do the job that the state's requiring them to do under AB 341. And so with that was a business decision, because as haulers, we want to continue to keep our contracts with the schools, because of course in the state of California, schools can go anywhere. They don't have to follow franchise agreements. They can choose whichever hauler, whichever service they want to, because literally schools are a state entity. And so as a business decision for us as haulers, of course, we want to help schools, and that also helps us with public perception, because everybody has a student one way or another, whether it's your direct student, niece, nephew, grandchild. Schools, are the one consistent way of really reaching out to the community and helping the community. And so what I found, is it's been the teachers that with either math, science, or student groups, as in student government groups, have been the ones that really have catapulted the recycling in most of the schools. Those are the teachers that have been most engaging, because it relates directly back to education. I love calling it what I think Jenna had said. I call it a synergetic effect. What the students learn at school, then they carry back home. Then they carry into the community. When in Arvin, which is a small Hispanic city in Kern County, about 98% Hispanic. So we spent 6 years in the elementary schools doing recycling. So when we got to the end of the 6th year, we then went to the high school, and immediately it took off in the high school, because the students had seen that blue container in the classroom for 6 years, so it was natural when they got to the high school. And Arvin High School has won a number of awards for its recycling program, which is all student-led, student participated. Results from 2015 and 2016. We have as far as Keep California Beautiful, we have a 5-year vision of having 1,500 schools in California participate. There's over 10, that's only 15% of the schools in California. There are 10,000 schools in the state of California. They estimate that school refuse and recycling is about 5% of the state's total waste stream. Well, 5% is a huge number. There are 6 million students and staff members in the California education system. And so if you were able to take 15% of that, engage them, and then see the synergetic effect statewide, because as we know, behavioral change all starts with education. And so that's why we as Keep California Beautiful want to reach out and encourage and engage the education system for, just like the students well said, it's not just for us, it's for our future generations. One nice thing is that, once again, because I'm the state leader for Keep California Beautiful and work so closely with Keep America Beautiful, all schools that participate in the K through 12 challenge automatically get enrolled in the National Recycle Bowl. And by the way, California now, because of the 280 schools, is now the #1 state in the Recycle Bowl. Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Which is, California leads the way in so many ways. Education is one of those. And once again, if we reach that 1,500 schools by 2020 to help with, yes, the state goal, but at the same time, then California would actually outnumber the rest of the country in schools participating in the Recycle Bowl. So once again, this challenge, Recycle Challenge for K through 12, is for the month of March. We'll start having school webinars in December and January. Simple to participate, simple to enroll, and I just really would like for California to reach those goals. This can also be found on the Cal Recycle website. Cal Recycle is utilizing this as one of their feature educational recycling programs, which has been a great help. Our website is simply greencaschools.org. Everything is there for you to be able to participate, and we look forward to, once again, reaching that goal in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. The Carton Council has been very proud to be a sponsor of this competition for, I think, at least the last 3 years, and will continue to be. It's a really great competition. We're glad to see their participation jump so much, but we need it to jump higher. Cynthia can't do it all by herself. All of you need to get your schools involved. We have about 5 minutes for questions. Cynthia has her hand up.
Or even $200, because we received, I can't even tell you, the last couple of years, the most money, and to walk in and to give it to a plant manager, we call them plant managers or the principal, is incredible, because they need pencil, paper, whatever they can buy with, and that's their money.
Right.
So if you don't want to sign up, I will continue to these schools all day, and you really should try to get it from us, because it is, we walk $1,500 checks, $1,800 checks, $3,000.
Yeah, so give Cynthia a run for her money, people. Get your schools signed up. And again, a small school has as much opportunity to win as a large school because of the way it's structured per capita. So it's a really great competition, and it's really not difficult to enter. Any other questions out there? Yes.
I have a question for Janet. Your program, you said you were on a semester stint. Do you guys do follow-up after that, or do you go back in and check?
Yes. The quick answer is yes, but yeah, we continually follow up. This last semester when we did actual audits at all of the schools was a little extensive because we were really trying to get that data to show the school district how they were doing. But in general, it's a continuous follow-up. We try to engage the folks that are in the schools, but I work with them continuously. Yeah.
I see him.
This is for Jennifer. So I'm on the city side, so I don't know about contracts with food service providers like Cisco or Sodexo, but I'm curious if there were any issues with facilitating the programs that you have now versus the food service that they provide.
Well, our programs are like operated internally. So it's just been a matter of really working with vendors, like on the food service side and the paper companies to have products that we want. So one of the things that can be a particular challenge for schools is actually getting products like from food service vendors that are unpackaged.
Right.
Especially those products that are made for schools. A lot of things are packaged because a lot of schools need them packaged, but for schools that don't want things in packages, that can be a problem. So that's definitely something to work towards. And then also having more conscious packaging. And then of course there's always like the cost on that and trying to get things like the more demand there is for more conscious packaging, then the lower that price point is going to be driven down.
But just one comment about that. Your contracts are done like 3 years in advance. This is part of the problem, right?
Contracts.
At least contracts with your vendors. Like our school district, there's contracts with the vendors, so we run into an issue, which is why you have to wait for it to happen. That's one of those challenges because they've done it in advance, at least in our district. I don't know if that's everybody.
So sometimes that's like an excuse to give you to not change because you know what I'm saying. So people who don't want to change, like a lot of times in schools will use that as an excuse because contracts can be. So contracts in the state of California for schools, for school nutrition at least, can be rolled over for 3 years. That's a maximum of 3 years. But they're usually prepared like about February, March for the following school year. So really that early January to March timeframe, if you were trying to get them to work with a different provider, that would be the time to target them. But there's no such thing as a three-year contract. It's just a 1-year contract only, and then that gets rolled over.
Wow, we learned something really important. Write that down. Okay, yeah, back there.
So, okay, number one, yes, all the different schools order themselves. The contract wasn't an issue at the time because they were doing a pilot with certain kind of packaging that they're using in general at that time. So they were able to say, the principal was able to say, I don't want that at my school anymore. My nutritional services is going to order this instead, and that went school by school by school, which really helped give our nutritionist at the time, who's now our nutrition service director, which is amazing, but gave her the sort of the ammo to go and say, we got to change this. We got to change this because none of the schools are ordering the styrofoam anymore. So it was a kind of a leveraging aspect, but it wasn't an issue with the contract at the time. Right now we're using, you saw the trays that was in Jennifer's? The paper trays.
Right.
The bagasse trays, the 5-compartment bagasse trays are incredibly expensive and they are not necessary and they don't recycle, they're compostable. So that we got them away from that and went with the paper. And we're still continuously looking. If you have something, Cynthia, that would be great.
Yeah, but what I wanted to tell you what we did in LAUSD is that we have a program where we call it dump stack for recycle. But anyways, we stack the trays. So we took one of the biggest high schools that have like 1,500 students get fed, and they saved their styrofoam trays for a week.
Oh, I saw
and It was, you Google it, it was like, I don't even know, 20 feet high, and they called their superintendent.
That was all, yeah.
We got rid of styrofoam.
So are you using paper trays then, Cynthia?
Yeah, but LAUSD is part of this big consortium with New York and all this, so they get their trays for like, nothing.
Yeah, come right now. But to go talk about the reusables, we have addressed it, and it's such an interesting. I mean, when I was in school, it's not that long ago.
Sorry.
But they were using reusable trays, and then they redid the whole district. They rebuilt the whole district, and now there's a challenge with space for dishwashers. We're working on it, and I loved the fact that I'm going to talk to Rethink Disposables, and actually from this conference, and I want to get some data on that, because we are definitely looking at it, and I know they are interested, but it's a matter of getting that data behind it. I mean, that's all the changes have been because we've been able to show them cost savings and data.
I apologize. We're keeping you over. I'll take one more question, then I'll let you out. No. It's really good information. I'm glad you're still here, still asking questions. But let's take one more, and then I'll let you out for lunch. Does anybody have one more question? Well, then you can go now. These folks will be here for a few minutes, so please ask them questions if you have it. Contact me if you want to be on the CRA K-12 Council. Thank you all.